All right. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us tonight for the Dental School Interviewing Webinar 101. My name is Caroline Bate, and I'm finishing up my D2 year at High Point. I'm so grateful to be this year's District 4 trustee. In undergrad, where my ASDA fever all started, I was an ASDA Predental member, and I'm so thankful for the tools and resources it has brought me throughout my dental school journey. All right. So Kylie put in the chat. And we're so excited to welcome our speakers this evening. It's actually quite a full circle moment for me. Dr. Jasmine Cromartie Hicks, she actually interviewed me, and she also called me about my acceptance into dental school. I'm so inspired by her, and I admire her, and I hope to be half the clinician she is one day. Dr. Jasmine Cromartie Hicks serves as the Director of Student Admissions and Engagement, and she's also the clinical assistant professor at Workman School of Dental Medicine at High Point University. She helps guide prospective and current students through the dental education journey, emphasizing hands-on learning, professional growth, and the values of High Point University care model. Dr. Cromartie Hicks obtained her Master's of Arts in Intercultural Services in Healthcare from Wake Forest University, and then earned both her Doctor of Dental Medicine degree and Advanced Education in General Dentistry certificate from East Carolina University School of Dental Medicine. At High Point University, she enjoys practicing dentistry alongside a network of talented colleagues while sharing her enthusiasm for the profession and the next generation of dental professionals. And we have with us today McKenna Markert. McKenna serves as Assistant Director of Pre and Postdoctoral Programs at the Workman School of Dental Medicine, where she supports the development and coordination of programs that enhance the educational experience for both predoctoral students and postdoctoral learners. In her role, McKenna works closely with faculty, staff, and residents to ensure programs run smoothly and provide meaningful opportunities for professional growth. McKenna earned her Bachelor of Arts in Sociology and Gender Studies from Kenyon College and her Master of Business Administration with a concentration in healthcare management from the University of Pikeville. Her academic background and passion for healthcare education support her dedication to creating organized, engaging, and supportive learning environments for students and residents. Before we begin, I'd like to take a minute to talk about the benefits of the predental membership and how it influenced my journey into dental school. I'll be the first doctor in my family, so navigating the path of dental school felt so unfamiliar and at times overwhelming. What made me the most nervous was not knowing if I was taking the right steps or preparing the right way. Becoming an ASDA predental member gave me a strong sense of community, along with access to resources and tools that helped me better understand the journey. I'm especially excited about the new mentorship program because it will be a huge asset for predental students. Hearing current dental students' experiences and asking questions will make the process feel much more approachable and less intimidating, I promise. Even if you already have a mentor, there's always value in learning from others and expanding your network, and that kind of guidance can make a meaningful difference in your journey. Becoming a predental member gets you a copy of ASA's Getting into Dental School Guide, which provides vital admission information on every single dental school in the US. It also has application tips, interview preparation, financial planning guidance, and more. For the month of May, which is predental month, membership is just $61. All predental members will also receive regular communication from ASDA that includes event information, resources, networking tips, and topics related to getting into dental school. And finally, one of the newest benefits is the ASDA predental membership, as I stated before, which is the Mentor Match program. Throughout the year, predental students can sign up to be prepared with a dental student mentor to help them better prepare for dental school. The next match will take place next week, so now is the time to register for the program. Click on the link in the chat to become a member and register for the mentorship program today. This webinar will be recorded and available to ASDA members through our website. We will take questions for those speakers throughout the webinar. Questions can be submitted at any time through the Q&A function. Now, without further ado, I'll hand it over to Dr. Cromartie Hicks and McKenna for the session.
Thank you so much, Caroline, for that wonderful introduction. And thank you for taking the time to start us off this evening. I know that Caroline, being a D2 student, our D2s are preparing for their final exams. So I know this is a very busy time for her, but we appreciate the introduction. McKenna?
Yes, thank you so much, Caroline. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule, and we're super excited to get started. So I'm going to go ahead and click forward here. As you just heard from Caroline, my name is McKenna Markert, and Dr. Kamardi Hicks and I will be kind of walking you all through all things interviewing this evening. So thank you for joining us. Oops. I'm gonna go back one. Okay, so to set the stage for tonight, just want to go through what we'll be covering and in what order. So first we'll talk about interview tips and best practices, and we'll look at pre-interview, during the interview, and then following the interview. And we'll talk about both in-person interviewing and virtual interview tips. Then we're going to go into a live mock interview. Dr. Kamardi Hicks will pose the same interview question 3 different times, and then I hope to give an okay answer, a better answer, and then a best answer, and we'll take time to reflect after each of those. And then we will go into common mistakes and misconceptions, where we'll just kind of talk about the things that we've seen over the years and things to potentially avoid as you're moving through the interview process. And then lastly, as Caroline mentioned, we'll have some time for Q&A at the very end. So please do utilize the chat function, and we'll get to those at the very end of the session. And I just want to shout out our building here really quick. So right here on the left, you'll see the Workman School of Dental Medicine. This is where Dr. Cromartie and I are both zooming in from this evening. And then just down the hall from us is one of our PBL spaces, and that's where these students are sitting here. So there are a couple photos sprinkled in to the presentation this evening. All right, so we'll start with before the interview, as I mentioned, and then we'll move into during, and then we'll talk about afterwards. This is a photo from our lobby, right when you walk into the building. All right, so I think we'll just kind of bounce back and forth here. But to get us started with pre-interview tips, there's a lot to be thinking about before interviewing, and it's often a nerve-wracking situation. So one of the best things that you can really do for yourself is research. So taking the time to learn about each program that you're applying for, and even reminding yourself, what are the things that I've submitted for each program? It can be overwhelming to remember off the top of your head. I submitted, a resume here. I had to submit my DAT here. And it's easy to get confused about what materials you've submitted. So just researching, creating notes ahead of time is incredibly important. And then also knowing what sets each program apart is super important too. So every program is going to have its unique quirks, all the way from the admissions process all the way through graduation. So keeping notes can help you keep things straight. And then remembering that research allows you to ask really good questions is a huge key tip. So I know that in interviews that I've conducted, I often feel like it's difficult if the person that you're interviewing doesn't have any questions at the end. It's a two-way street. So taking advantage of the time with your interviewer to get to learn from them too is a tip I'd share.
Thanks, McKenna. And exploring the interview format, knowing that ahead of time will make you comfortable with the interview. If you have a virtual interview, understanding the technology requirements of whether you are going to need the internet to complete your interview, or if you're going to need a microphone so that you can hear yourself accordingly. Planning for those ahead of time will really alleviate your stress. For in-person interviews, different dental schools have different formats. There are some schools that have MMIs, or what that's called is multiple mini interviews. Some dental schools have group interviews where you're interviewing with faculty and staff and or students. And some have individual one-on-one interviews, and some have a mixture of all of those things. And so asking ahead of time will allow you to practice for the type of interview that you're going to do. And it also allows you to practice your pitch in the time allotted. So if you have a 20-minute interview, you can practice that versus an 8-minute MMI or a 10-minute MMI. That way, you're not stressed to complete and kind of sell yourself. You are comfortable, you've practiced it, you know the time that's allotted, you know the format and the day of logistics. So also, if it's virtual, There are some dental schools that use different formats for virtual interviews, like Kira, for example. If you're going to do that, just make sure that you are testing your internet connection ahead of time. You're making sure that your background is appropriate, and you're making sure that what you're wearing is professional. You don't want to cause attention or distract from the message and from all of the things that you are trying to offer in your interview. So if possible, do all those things ahead of time so that you're most comfortable. And I just mentioned professional attire, making sure that your clothing is sending the right message. So some people will use different background screens, make sure that yours is not too busy if you choose to do that. Just make sure that your whole environment is representative of you and what you want the admissions committee to learn about you.
Yeah, those are great points. And I think one other thing with dress, oftentimes I think we hear to wear neutral colors. Sometimes really bold outfits can stand out and maybe not in a good way. So looking polished, looking neutral, I think is really important when you show up, whether on screen or in person. And then lastly, here, we recommend practicing meditation or any calming techniques that help you just chill out before a stressful situation. I know personally, I love moving before anything stressful. So I'm definitely a morning person. I like getting my day going with movement. So whether it's like a walk or a lift or a swim, whatever it might be, just doing those things to help you feel good, I would recommend. Lastly, if you're traveling, which you likely will be doing for in-person interviews, getting acquainted with your route to the campus, getting acquainted once you are on the campus of which rooms you might go to might be an option. But if this isn't possible, just getting on Apple Maps or Google Maps, whatever you prefer, and just kind of knowing what your travel time is going to be, predict what traffic might look like at the appropriate time of day. I know sometimes if you map things at, the middle of the day, it's not going to look crazy. But if you're thinking about rush hour in the morning or rush hour in the evening, definitely take into consideration traffic and give yourself ample time so you're not really nervous running in.
Great points. Great points. There are a lot of students that will fly in the day before their interview, and I recommend that if that's possible for you to just kind of center yourself, get your blood pressure down, familiarize yourself with where you need to be. Like McKenna said, it really does make a huge difference.
Totally. All right. So then during the interview, what are the things that you should be thinking about? Being on time is huge. We just talked about that, but it can be really stressful if you're late and you also are making an impression. So be punctual. Also, be polite. It's really important that you aren't just polite to those who you are interviewing with directly. There are so many people that go into the success of an interview day, whether it is in person or it is virtual. So, just being kind and polite to everyone is really important and will set you apart. Being prepared. So, knowing ahead of time, what the interview format is, what questions could be asked. Familiarizing yourself there will be really helpful, and just being true to yourself and answering them honestly. And then lastly, your attitude is everything. I think during interviews, your body language says just as much as what you're physically saying out of your mouth. So being positive in your body language, I would highly, highly recommend. And I think it really does leave a lasting impression, your energy that you give off during an interview day. But above all else, be you during interview days. It's an opportunity for you to show yourself off, and be authentically yourself.
Yes. Only thing I would add to that is being confident. And so there's a difference between arrogance and confidence, right? When you're preparing for your interview. And being able to talk about yourself and your experiences can be a little challenging if you've never had to do it before. So practicing with a mentor will give you that confidence that you need on your interview day. And it's completely normal to be nervous, have a little bit of anxiety, but the more prepared that you will be, the more confident your interview will turn out. So just do your best, be your authentic self, and it's your time to shine. So go in and look at it as an amazing opportunity and be proud of yourself that you have made it to a dental school interview. Dental school is so competitive, and it's competitive to get to the interview portion. So give yourself a hand clap and understand that you deserve to be there. If you've made it to the interview, you've done everything that you can do.
Totally. That's such a great point. You should celebrate the little things, right?
Yes.
So after the interview, what are your next steps? So putting a bow on everything, For those who interviewed you or had, a part of the day, I think handwritten or emailed letters of thank you, just saying, we appreciate you and I had a great time. It's always just a thoughtful little touch that you can do. It's definitely not required. But if you had a conversation that especially struck you with someone or had a connection that was made during a conversation, I think it's totally appropriate to say thank you. You can do this in person at the interview day, but I also think you can send a thank you afterward as well. For each institution that you're applying for, it's nice to know what you've learned about the program and know that next steps for each program might be really different. So the time frames can differ program to program. I know some schools you'll get a decision back, within 48 hours. Some might be a couple weeks. So it really just depends, and being mindful of that will help you best communicate after your interview as well. So if you've done your research, you know what your time frame is. You're not reaching out saying, "When am I going to hear back?" Because that can send a message in itself. And then lastly, for yourself, I think, interviews are a great way to practice and to continue growing. So just reflecting on the interview day, things that went really well, the areas of improvement, those are all good things to think about. You probably will have more interviews. If you've gotten one, like Dr. Cromartie said, you've already made yourself stand out, and you'll likely have other programs that are really, really excited to meet you. So there's always the opportunity for growth. And I think self-reflection after the interview can be really helpful.
Awesome.
All right. Are we ready to go into?
Yes, we are. So, guys, this is the live mock interview portion of our presentation. So, McKenna and I are going to kind of demonstrate different types of interviews, and you'll see as we progress through that, the ending will be hopefully the best one, and we'll be able to give some feedback about that accordingly. Alrighty, so this is the first one. So McKenna, it's so nice to meet you. Where did you travel from?
I traveled from Jamestown, North Carolina, so
Oh,
not far at
goodness.
all.
Wow, you're very close to High Point. Well, that's so awesome. So there are 70 dental schools in the United States. Why did you choose to apply to the Workman School of Dental Medicine?
Yeah, there are a ton of dental schools to choose from, but North Carolina is home for me. Like I said, I'm from Jamestown, so I've always wanted to be a dentist. Everyone in my family is a dentist. I haven't really thought about anything else, honestly. I grew up around dentistry. My mom and dad are both dentists. My grandparents are dentists. Um, I think they have really good work-life balance from what I've seen. I really like working with my hands, and yeah, it's in my blood, so I thought it would be worth it.
Okay, okay. Thank you for that answer. Alrighty, let's reflect on McKenna's response to the question. So, McKenna, what were some of the things you think that maybe this candidate or you could improve on with your response, your first response?
First of all, I don't think I answered the question about why the Workman School of Dental Medicine at all. It didn't seem like I was very prepared to talk about the Workman School of Dental Medicine. I talked about, my family history, rambled a little bit maybe. But yeah, it just wasn't really obvious why this program. Um,
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was concise or well spoken. I was trying not to make eye contact.
No eye contact.
Um, my body is kind of sending a message that I'm not that invested. At least that was my goal and portrayal. And yeah, my intentions, my motivations, I don't know if you could tell if I, had the right intentions or motivations based on my response, but what would you say?
Yeah, I would say that it wasn't giving that. I didn't see arrogance or I didn't see confidence. I kind of just wasn't completely sold that our program was the program for you. You talked about your parents both being dentists and your grandparents being dentists as well, I believe. And so while that is common, we have a lot of applicants that will mention that. We don't want that to be the focus of your response because we're asking why you want to pursue dentistry and why you want to pursue dentistry here at the Workman School of Dental Medicine. And so you talked about, you love working with your hands and you think you'd be good because it runs in your family. And so this was a pretty vague answer. I wouldn't call this response a strong answer, and so it probably would be rated lower than average from an admissions committee.
Thank you for your feedback. Hopefully, I can apply a little bit now on this next one.
Yes. Alrighty. So that was round one. This is round two. We should be progressing to after we've got some feedback, we're going to be improving here. So McKenna, it's so nice to meet you. Where'd you travel from?
It's so nice to meet you too, Dr. Cromartie Hicks. I traveled from Jamestown, North Carolina, so I'm super close to home.
Wow, you're right in the neighborhood. Well, awesome. You didn't have too long of a commute to get here. Okay, so McKenna, we have 70 dental schools in the country. Why exactly did you choose to apply to the Workman School of Dental Medicine?
Sure. The Workman School of Dental Medicine is dedicated to changing the field of dentistry as we know it, and that's really something I want to be a part of. The technology, from haptics to the sim lab, all of that really inspires me, and I think it really shows the school's commitment to the future of dentistry. I also saw that it's a smaller cohort with about 60 learners in each class. So I like that faculty get to know students and students get to know students. I also really wanted to stay in North Carolina because I grew up here. I went to undergrad here. My whole support system is here. And throughout undergrad, I knew that having a support system close by was important. So it makes the most sense for me to stay in North Carolina if I can.
Okay, I can completely understand that. I too am from North Carolina. It'd be awesome to stay within the state to go to dental school, and North Carolina absolutely needs more dentists. With our dentist to population ratio, we are really in need of dentists in the state. So it's awesome that you want to pursue dentistry here. Thank you so much. All righty, so that response got better, didn't it? McKenna,
Hopefully.
yeah, McKenna did a lot of good things here. So she talked about the technology that's available to our students. She mentioned some of our simulation labs. So that shows us that she's done her research, shows me that she's done her research about our program. She talked about knowing the cohort size of 60 students. So she's definitely done her research and she's talking about the advantages of that smaller student to teacher ratio, which really matters when it comes to dental school for some students. And then she talked about how she wanted to remain in the state because she's from North Carolina. She went to undergrad here, and her support system is here. And all of those things play a role in your decision and where you go to dental school, whether you are um, a student or you have a family or you're married with children. So all of those different factors can influence your decisions for dental school. But she is outright telling me why the Workman School of Dental Medicine, and her eye contact is a lot better there. She's demonstrating self-awareness. She's demonstrating that she's done research and that she's prepared and can answer the question without rambling, which is key. So I would say this is a pretty good response.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And I think just something to note is that both answer one and two, I'm from Jamestown, North Carolina, and I want to be close to home. But in this second answer, I demonstrate a little bit of self-awareness because I give the why. Like, why does it make sense for me to apply here? I'm thinking about undergrad and I'm reflecting on my undergrad experience and knowing that having, family close by made a difference. So I'm glad that one got a little bit better. We will move to number three and hopefully we can end on a bang.
Yes. Okay, McKenna, it's so awesome to meet you. Remind me where you traveled from.
Sure, I traveled from Jamestown, North Carolina, so not far from campus.
Okay, just 15 minutes down the road. Wow, you're right in the neighborhood. Well, McKenna, there's 70 dental schools in the country. Why did you choose to apply to the Workman School of Dental Medicine?
Sure. When I learned about the Workman School of Dental Medicine opening, I got super excited because it's in my backyard. I decided to take a tour of campus, and my first impressions were that it was incredibly beautiful, and everyone that I interacted with during the day was so accommodating and welcoming. I just felt at home outside of my home. I appreciated the state-of-the-art technology in the building, and I loved learning about the integrated curriculum and the flipped classroom model. Sadly, when I applied last time, I didn't get in, But I did take the time to ask for some feedback and I thought back about my previous experiences. And when I was reflecting, I realized I was trying way too hard to say the right answer rather than just being my authentic self. So, first, in undergrad, I knew I did my best work when I was able to work in groups and not only learn from professors, but also my peers. So, this is why the flipped classroom model and the emphasis on group work really struck me. I've also learned in the last couple of years that it's okay to struggle and it's okay to ask for help when you need it. And the personalized support and remediation at Wisdom really, really struck me. I don't think I've seen this model anywhere else at any other dental school that I've applied to or interviewed for. It's so intentionally built in. And then I really am keenly aware that dentistry is an evolving field, and I'm really sure that Wisdom is the place that will best prepare me for the future of dentistry as it is. I appreciated learning about the care model and the strong emphasis on being well-rounded. Patients are not one-dimensional people, and as providers, I know you guys are not one-dimensional people, and I think the care model really encapsulates this well. So this time around, I'm just hoping to do a better job of highlighting myself and also why wisdom's the right choice for me.
Wow. That was really comprehensive. I really appreciate your thorough response to that. Great job, McKenna.
Thank you. And if you don't mind, could I ask what brought you to wisdom?
Yes, so I was actually hired as the first faculty member back in August 2021, and this was a visit back to my alma mater. So High Point University was where I went to undergrad, and my dreams of becoming a dentist all started. So I had the opportunity to come back here while working in private practice and helping get admissions started, and it has been a dream come true to be able to practice still, teach and serve on the admissions to find the next generation of dentists.
That's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for asking. All right, you guys. So McKenna, without a doubt, knocked this response out of the park. So let's kind of comb through how she did that. And some responses can be more thorough, more long-winded. Others can be more concise. It just depends on what the question is and how much time you have to answer. So she really demonstrated a lot of research and preparedness. And one of the things, if you remember, that really stood out is that she talked about how she didn't get in the first time she applied, how she got feedback, and then she reflected on her experiences and then reapplied again. So she's showing a lot of self-awareness and self-reflection, which is showing that growth mindset. That's one of the things that High Point University is looking for, but a lot of other dental schools are also wanting you to demonstrate. And the way that she modeled that in her response was just excellent. And so if you are a reapplicant, we would encourage you to, that's one way that you can phrase your response as saying, this is what I did, this is what happened, and this is what I've learned, and this is how I've grown as a result. She held really great eye contact. She talked about how she was aware of different things in our program, from our curriculum to the technology to the flipped classroom model, to personalized support that we offer as a form of remediation at our program. And she recognized that dentistry was a ever evolving field. And so we are lifetime learners as future dentists. And so I could appreciate how thorough her response is. Now, will you remember all of those things? Maybe not on the day of your interview, but if you can be prepared to pitch the things about the program you were interviewing for that is important to you, that will allow you to stand out as an applicant. So keeping that in mind. McKenna, would you have anything to add to this?
I think the only thing I'd add is, the follow-up question. I think asking a follow-up question and continuing a conversation if time allows is always nice. Sometimes people will ask questions that don't make sense or, just are not pertinent to the conversation you were just having. Don't do that. But I think it's so fair to ask something that makes sense in the context that you're in. And I got a great response from Dr. Cromartie for asking. So it's often a nice way to just bond with your interviewer, and they are people too, and want to share with you in the same way that you want to share with them. So
I will also say that your interviewer may not remember your name, but they will remember the conversation that you had. They'll remember key details, and they will also remember questions that you asked them. Mark my words. So having questions to ask your interviewer is really key. It shows that you're engaged, that you care, and that you are truly interested in the program and getting to know them, if even briefly.
totally. All right. So this next slide we just put together to kind of show the key points of each of the answers, what stood out as weak, what stood out as better, and then what looked the best. I know you guys all received rubrics to look at. So if you're looking at those, you can kind of consider what's here on the screen to help you fill that out as well, and maybe jot some notes down for things that you picked up in the last few minutes. But without further ado, I think we'll talk a little bit about common mistakes and misconceptions, and then we'll have some time, hopefully, to answer some Q&As.
Yes. Okay, well, I can start. A lot of times, what we learn during interviews as interviewers is that it's very clear to us which candidates have prepared and which ones have not done any research about our program based on the questions that they ask us. I would also stray away from asking questions that are available on our website just to keep and maintain conversation. And if students don't practice, it is very clear to us because they can be overly nervous and start to ramble or not answer the question at hand. So practicing will definitely help get those jitters down and bring you the confidence that you need. I would also say that there are some candidates that are not self-aware, that they're a little arrogant in their responses. And like I said before, being confident does not mean that you're showing arrogance. It means that you are confident in your responses and your experiences and that you know that you deserve to be there at that program. And so communicating about yourself sometimes can be a challenge, especially if you've never done it before. So practice is definitely something that I think is key when it comes to interview prep. There are some students that will dominate the conversation. I would take heed of that. So if you have a group interview, knowing when to invite others into the conversation, like these are my thoughts. What did you think? And really share the floor if you have the opportunity to do that, or not being just the only one that's asking questions in a group setting. Everyone will know that you are, dominant when it comes to the spotlight. And so admissions committees can also tell that. And that's very telling for who they may not want in their cohort. And there's no specific script. Don't tell the interviewers what you think they want to hear. And it can be hard because you want to show them that you want to be here, but it's not always the right thing to do to just come off as someone who's not authentic. So anything you'd add to that, McKenna?
No, I think those are all phenomenal points. And I think just to your last point, I think sometimes interviews can be robotic. Those are not the interviews that stand out, or if they stand out, it's not in the good way. But I think when those interviews are, when interviewees think that there's one correct answer and they need to fit into this specific mold, that's
Mhm.
when the worst things happen. So I would again just reiterate being your authentic self, being honest with yourself, being self-aware, reflecting. All of those things are really, really great points.
And we talked about this before, McKenna, like the vague language of, well, I want to be here because I want to serve the underserved. That's not telling the person you're interviewing with much at all. Who is the population of people that you would like to serve? Are they patients that have special accommodations? Are there patients that maybe have language barriers? Are they children? Are they the elderly? Are they a geriatric population? There are they veterans? There are so many different underserved populations, and so being able to pinpoint that and the why behind will really demonstrate that you've done your research and that you have an understanding of really what that means. I challenge anyone who asks me that or tells me that in an interview. I will say, okay, who and what? What do you want to do to impact that group of people? And so we also talked about not focusing on content that is within your application. You got the interview because they've reviewed that information already, and they've looked at your personal statement and they know that you're a great candidate. That's why you're there. So your interview is to put the bow on the present. Now it's time for you to talk about what's the content that is not in your application and within your personal statement. So if there are other things you'd like to highlight, be prepared to talk about those as well.
Yes, definitely don't be a broken record with things that you've already shared and submitted. There's, such a great opportunity to highlight other aspects of you because you're not one-dimensional. So that's a great point, Dr. Cromartie Hicks. All right. I think with whatever time we have left, we're going to move into some questions and answers, hopefully.
Alrighty. Well, this was a lot of fun for us, so we are happy to help.
Thank you all so much for joining us for the Dental School Interviewing 101 session. And a special thank you to our speakers, Dr. Cromartie Hicks and McKenna, for sharing your time, insight, and experiences with us. We truly appreciate it. One of the biggest takeaways from today is the importance of being your genuine, authentic self throughout the interview process. Admission committees aren't just evaluating your achievements, they're getting to know you. And I totally agree. Saying those off the beaten path journeys really make you unique. With that, we'd love to open it up for a few questions. Feel free to send your questions and we'll do our best to get through as many as we can. So it looks like we have our first question. So it is when it's time, what are some common dental interview questions? That's the first question.
Ooh, that's a good one. I think this kind of goes back to what we were talking about at the beginning with understanding like the format of interviews. You're going to get some questions from some institutions that are more behavioral based. Some are going to be more situational based. Some might be simply assessing your personality. So, Dr. Cromartie, you might have specific examples that you want to share based on all of your experience, but I think having a general understanding of the types of things or the buckets of categories that questions can fall into, that's just a start.
I definitely think, McKenna, you definitely hit that nail on the head, as far as the types, as far as types of questions that you may be asked. Everyone could very fairly throw out the question of why do you want to be a dentist and why do you want to attend our program, right? So those are one of the most common questions that we see. But for specific programs, they may ask you specific things about their program. So if you haven't done the research, it's very evident, and some people can get tied up there. So I would say, depending on the program, you could ask a current student how their interview went. You could even ask the admissions committee how best to prepare. They may or may not provide that information for you, but they could tell you the format of the interview. And sometimes that's the most important so that you're practicing for the specific format of the program that you're applying to.
Yeah, I think the timing is so crucial. So if you know you have 60 seconds or you know you have 20 minutes, it's going to really determine how you best prepare.
Thank
Awesome.
you, Dr. Jasmine Camardi Hicks and McKenna. Another question that we have is how do I make the best first impression for an in-person interview?
The best impressions, sometimes impressions I will tell you begin however you contact the program first. So if you email us or you call us, that's the first impression that we're going to have. It's either going to be, that was a great conversation. I learned so much about that candidate. I'm excited. I hope they apply. Or, oh my goodness, they're calling again. They've called 5 times in the last hour. They haven't given me or us an opportunity to respond to the call. That's the self-awareness piece. So I would say first impression can begin before you even get there for your interview. And you want to be mindful of that because admissions committees are very busy. We don't just sit behind a desk all day, and we're constantly reviewing things and having meetings and trying to find the next cohort. And so I would say for any dental school admissions team, the impression definitely starts before your interview date.
Yeah, and I think again, just everything matters. It's not what you say, but it's, what your body language says as well. It's the messages that you're sending, via social cues. It's the emails, it's the calls, it's all of that. So that was a really great answer, Dr. Cromartie.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you both so much. Another question is it wrong to feel nervous and bring it up?
Absolutely not. We're all human, and we know that interview days can be very anxiety inducing, right? And we recognize that here at High Point. We even do a very quick meditation exercise, and that has been a crowd favorite. We bring it back every year. It's led by Professor Kim Worth. She's our assistant dean for student success, which is student affairs, but she's also a licensed therapist. And so we love incorporating that on interview day. Also, there can be awkward, pauses, or it can feel very competitive at some programs. You want to find a program that is the right fit for you because it is a 4-year investment wherever you choose to go. And so, just as you are being interviewed, you are also interviewing that program. So, ask the hard questions and make sure that it's where you want to be or could see yourself being for the next 4 years. It's completely normal to be a little anxious, but don't let your anxiety cloud your moment of showing who you are and why you deserve to be there.
Those are great points. And I think too, it can be particularly nerve-wracking if you haven't had very many interviews in the past. You know, coming into dental school, there are students who go the traditional route and don't take a gap year. And then there are a lot of non-traditional applicants who take a lot of time. Maybe, you know, coming to dental school is like a career shift completely. Maybe they came from something else altogether different. And perhaps they've had a lot more interview experience. So if you know you're disadvantaged and that you haven't had a ton of interview opportunities and you are more nervous, I think sometimes saying that out loud and getting it off your chest is really helpful. But then just doing everything that you can to set yourself up for success. Because like Dr. Cromartie said earlier, if you've made it to the interview day, that's a really, really good sign and you should celebrate that.
Thank,
Awesome.
thank you both so much. Another question we have is when an interviewer asks something like, if you couldn't go to dental school, what would you do instead? From your perspective, what are they looking to learn?
We're looking to learn, and I've asked that question before. We're looking to learn what are your interests outside of dentistry? Our application at the Working School of Dental Medicine is designed to highlight you as an applicant. So we want to know all of your experiences, whether they are dental related or not. And so when I ask that question, I'm looking to see where else do you invest your time and what other things are you passionate about? So if someone says they could see themselves being a pediatric doctor, then they're telling me they also love being around children or seeing the growth of someone. And so maybe pediatric dentistry is something that they're interested in going into as well. So we're just trying to gauge what your other passions may be and other things that you're interested in outside of dentistry.
This is just a really quick thing, but I also think that they could be trying to catch you off guard, and it's easy to only have, like, this is my plan, and I have tunnel vision, and I want to go to dental school, and I've never thought about anything else. And so I think just knowing how you think on your feet, if dental school is what you want and you want to be a dentist, just being able to say, also, like, this is what I want, and I've never thought about anything else. But being able to bring up things in your personality, maybe that, show who you are as a person, and show, again, who you are authentically and genuinely. But it's nice to have a plan B. It's nice to have a backup option. So, yeah, that's a good question to think about.
Thank you both so much. We have another question, and what's the best, what is an example of a great question you have gotten at the conclusion of the interview?
Um, I've gotten a lot of great questions at the conclusion of the interview. McKenna, you probably have too. I'm trying to think of some that stood out to me while being put on the spot, like or all as all of you will be one day. I'm trying to think. So I have been asked like, what brought you to High Point University, or what are some of the challenges that you've had as a new program? I've also been asked what were some of the things that students have openly expressed they've been challenged with at a new dental school. Things that really get your brain moving. I have been asked what brought me to dentistry, or what are some of the my favorite things to do as a general dentist. I mean, everyone you interview with may not be a dentist, and so I would just say something that's general that you can say is what brought you to the school? How long have you been a part of such and such program? And what's one of your favorite things about your role here?
Yeah, I think that's great. And it's definitely like just a rapport builder too. Like it's a two-way street again. And your interviewer doesn't just want to shoot questions at you and get your responses. I think asking those questions and those good ones where you really get your interviewer talking to you and it feels more like a conversation is wonderful.
All right. Thank you both so much again for a great response. We had a great time hosting you tonight, and thanks again to our speakers for sharing their insights with us today. Don't forget to follow ASDA on Instagram to find out all the latest ASDA happenings, event registration, and more. The handle is at dental schools, or excuse me, at dental students, and the direct link can be found in the chat.
Hey,
As
Caroline, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just noticed there were some questions in the chat. Should we go to those before we conclude?
Oh, yes, I'm so sorry.
Okay, not a problem. I just noticed it.
All right. Is there one that you would like to start off with that,
Um,
or did you want?
I um I guess we can start. It looks like the first person is Aiden. Um, and then we can just go down until we finish them there.
All right, so I see it now. Thank you, Dr. Kamardi Hicks.
No problem.
From Aiden, we have thank you for the great tips and for taking the time to share the information. Um, was it okay to ask a follow-up question right away, or should I wait until the end of the interview?
He's welcome to ask whenever he'd like.
Perfect. And we have a question from Natalie. Do you have any recommendations for the follow-up questions after the interview is over?
Think we gave a couple of examples about asking questions of your interviewer or any questions about take that advantage of that time to ask questions about the program that you're genuinely interested in. Like what is a day in the life of a D1, D2, D3, D? Like you can ask questions to really gain insight that you may not have the opportunity to the rest of the interview day.
And if you have access to like a frequently asked questions page, I would highly, highly recommend taking advantage of it. We have a very robust one that we updated before this admission cycle. And I would avoid, like Dr. Kamardi Hicks said before, I would avoid asking any questions that can be found on the website because those are all there for you to take advantage of. And it just shows that you didn't take the time to research and peruse if you're asking those questions as your follow-ups.
Thank you. I really, this question is directly to you, Dr. Kamardi. I think this is a great question. What has been your greatest challenge as a minority in the dentistry, and how were you able to navigate that process?
I would say one of the greatest challenges is one of the greatest challenges was trying to find mentors early on, and I got paired with a group of doctors that were a part of an organization called Owner State Dental Society, which is the local version of our NDA or National Dental Association. And so that allowed me to connect with a lot of dentists that looked like me and helped me navigate the process of applying to dental school and what all of that entails, all the way up until I was accepted and so on. And some of those doctors I'm still in contact with. Representation is incredibly important, especially as a minority dentist. And I understood that going into this field, I just didn't quite know how to find the mentors. But once I was connected with someone in an organization, everything kind of fell into place. And so I'm very thankful till this day for those mentors that really just took me under their wing and helped me navigate that process so that I wasn't alone. Great question.
Love that. Thank you, Dr. Kamardi. And another question we have is, what is the best way to address a lower undergrad GPA? This is after successfully completing a master's program.
McKenna, what would you say to that?
I think the self-reflection here, like I think talking about what happened and why you had that lower GPA and then talking about what that action item was that shifted or that mindset shift that happened going into your master's program and then how you expect to carry that momentum forward, I guess. So I would just reflect, talk about, whether there was a circumstance, maybe it was a maturity thing. I think owning it is the biggest thing and taking accountability because it's your story and you should feel confident telling it.
I have nothing to add to that. That's perfect. Beautiful response.
Thank you, McKenna. That's great. And the last question that we have here is, what are the best types of questions to ask that wouldn't be easily found on the school's website?
Oh,
I would say sometimes questions surrounding what a student's experience a student's experience is. If you don't watch a video about that, which most programs don't have that insight, then I would say asking about their experiences. What do their clinical experiences look like? What is the faculty to student ratio? What types of procedures and experiences am I going to get as a student to prepare me for my next steps? Um, how many students are passing their boards, or what is the school's national board pass rate? Um, how many students are going to specialty residencies if that's something that interests you? To which is more school after dental school, but if you want to specialize, and that's important to know as well. Um, Knowing your ultimate goal and knowing how the program's going to get you there. The types of questions, those are the types of questions you want to ask that are not going to be on the school's website.
Yeah.
More than
And then
likely.
one thing that I like love getting asked is and asking, I guess, is about how feedback is utilized within programs. I think it tells you a lot. So asking at the end of an interview, like, what is the deal with this and how are you collecting feedback and how is that feedback used to continuously improve? I think that
Mhm.
can tell you a lot. And I think that's one thing that has really struck me here at the Workman School of Dental Medicine is that we are constantly collecting feedback and we're constantly learning and growing together. And there are programs out there that can get stuck in their ways. There are, people out there that can get stuck in their ways. I know I'm a creature of habit often. So just being aware of those things and thinking about who you are and how the program is going to help you reach all your goals, like Dr. Cromartie just said, I think is wonderful.
Thank you both so much. Do you have any last closing remarks for the students on the panel this evening?
I would just say best of luck to everyone that's applying this cycle. Do your research on the programs that you're applying to. Don't put all of your, what they say, eggs in one basket. Spread the wealth and really apply to programs that are good fits for you. And remember, it's an investment in your future. And knowing that you have what it takes, be confident in your responses. Take your time and be comfortable with pausing as you are responding. That's completely okay to kind of catch your thoughts and put them in order before you respond. And you have to be okay with silence a little bit. But you have everything that it takes. You're going to do well, and best of luck.
Those are great words of wisdom. And I would just add, I think taking advantage of your resources. Like Dr. Cromartie mentioned, she had wonderful mentors. I've had wonderful mentors. And I think really leaning on your mentors and support systems. There are so many good resources out there. So just taking advantage of them and knowing that it's always a team effort.
Thank you both so much. We greatly appreciate having you both on this evening's webinar for Dental School Interviews 101 session. Again, don't forget to follow ASDA at Dental Students on Instagram. And ASDA is here to support you throughout your pre-dental and dental school journey. Please reach out to us at membership@asdanet.org with any questions. And please feel free to visit asdanet.org/join to become a pre-dental member. That link is also in the chat for you. Thanks again for participating tonight and to our amazing speakers, Dr. Jasmine Marty Hicks and McKenna. We'll see you in future pre-dental membership events and take care.